Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom.
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. I'm your Stuart and I'm also joined by Andy.
Welcome to this evening's early show.
Yeah, that's my fault. I got things mixed up. Coming up, we have 3 films to review. They are...
we have the latest sort of British remake of The Sweeney with Ray Winston taking over John Thor's part. You have Premium Rush with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a sort of bike messenger in New York. And kids' sort of horror animation Paranorman.
Yeah, on top of that we have the latest movie news, but let's kick things off as we normally do with the box office top 10.
Yeah, or in this case this week what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the top 11 because of the film that's gone in at number 11, That's My Boy, which we haven't seen. It's the Adam Sandler film that I almost went and saw it actually. I did almost go and see it, but... I sort of ended up going, no, I really don't want to let myself in for that kind of torture. It's done poorly. I'm glad it's done poorly. People seem to be getting sick of Adam Sandler because they're realising he's just gone downhill.
Agreed. I don't have anything else to say.
I thought you might go off on one or something there, but...
No,
okay.
I just cannot be bothered with Adam Sandler anymore. He's an actor who has not only had his day, he's had his career. He definitely had his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, as I said before, and I stand by this, he has become the new Eddie Murphy. I'm trying to think who it was Eddie Murphy became. I think Eddie Murphy became Jim Carrey, but then what's Jim Carrey become? I don't know. Number 10 is The Bourne Legacy.
Yeah, before I always keep forgetting to mention this. You can get us on the live chat on Spreaker, so chat with us. I don't know why I always forget to say that at the start of the show. So yeah, get us on the live chat. Bourne Legacy, $182 million worldwide box office. Jeremy Renner is fine as Aaron Cross in it. I've got a little news story a little bit later on about the Bourne Legacy. The last week it'll be in the charts anyway. It's an average action film with nothing very much special going for it in my eyes.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt with that. Bouncy Ball has joined us in the chat, as you said in Spreaker. He's replied, he's actually commented, Eddie Murphy became Rob Lowe before Rob Lowe became cool again. That's probably quite astute, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Back to the top 10, at number 9 is The Watch, which you still haven't seen, I don't think, have you?
Unfortunately, I will have to see this when it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Yes.
Hopefully, it'll be next year, so at least I'll see in the year without having to watch this film.
Yeah, it's not the worst film. Well, actually, thinking about it, looking ahead, it might be the worst film in the top 10, considering that what was worse than this is now down at number 15. Keith Lemon, the film, has exited the top 10, thank God.
That was quick.
The Watch, yeah, it dropped like a stone, didn't it? The Watch is just, there's nice product value there, but everything else is completely wasted, as was my attention for the 90 minutes, because I wanted those minutes back. At number 8 is The Dark Knight Rises.
Can we just pass over The Dark Knight Rises? Because we don't have anything new and different to say about The Dark Knight Rises, apart from one news story which I saw somewhere that Batman is going to be played in 4 different guises in something.
Yeah, I was chatting with someone on Twitter, this Rob on Twitter. I'm sorry, Rob, I can't think what your full name is because I've got more than one Rob on my Twitter list. But he was commenting about that there's going to be 2 different actors. It's rumoured for them playing in 2 different films or something with the Justice League and a future Batman series, but you know, it's rumours. I hope not. I hope it's not true. So we'll just call it from now on. The Dark Knight Rises will just be TDKR. That's it. That's all we need to say. That's all we're going to say. Number 7 is Ted.
Yeah, I'm guessing the person you were wondering there is Rob McGregor 35 on Twitter. that the right one?
Probably, yes, I think.
Okay then.
Hopefully he's listening. Rob, if you're listening, come into the chat and correct me or correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, Ted, $395 million at the worldwide box office. It's cracked the 400 million now, because I wrote that down a few days ago, so it's gone past the $400 million mark. It's done insane. Nobody would have predicted how well this film would have done. How funny it is, actually, as well. It's got Seth MacFarlane behind it, so I probably guessed that it was going to be funny, and it is one of these films that this year where I held high hopes for it and wasn't disappointed, because there's been a few films where I've had high hopes for them and been disappointed, and this is not one of them, and I'm glad it's done so well.
Yeah, it's now been out 7 weeks, and it's still doing well, still taking almost 500,000 in the week, which is quite impressive for a comedy, and especially a 15 rated comedy in the UK box office. Number 6 is The Possession.
It's Jeffrey Dean Morgan is one of these actors who likes to play it really, really safe. I know we go on it week in, week out about some actors who might have starred in a couple of films where they're playing it really safe, but he seems to be playing it extremely safe. The last film he did before this was The Resident with Hilary Swank in it, and that was a Hammer film, and that's a very simple film, and this is a very simple film about his daughter who finds this box which holds a spirit inside of it, and this spirit possesses the daughter, and he needs to try and get the spirit out of her. It's not scary at all. It's got a few decent visual flares in it, and it's got Sam Raimi Presents attached to it, so it's all right.
I'm always wary of these films that have somebody presents. You know, you get Guillermo del Toro's done it, Quentin Tarantino did it. Wes Craven did it. It's always horror ones, isn't it? It's always horror. Yeah. Why don't we get a drama? You know, like Cameron Crowe presents. That might be interesting.
Maybe.
No?
Maybe.
And number 5 is Brave.
It's not a brave film. It doesn't live up to its name because it doesn't try to attempt to do anything different that you have not seen before. I understand where some people are coming from, because I've read a few comments saying that if you're a mother and daughter, you'll attract to this movie a bit more because it focuses more on a mother-daughter relationship. So I'm not sure if that is actually true, because I'm guessing a lot of kids might see through the fact that the film itself is just a very simple storyline. And if this is the way Pixar, I got the studio right this week, last week I said DreamWorks, if this is the way Pixar thinks that girls see heroines on screen, then they really do need to take a lesson from Disney of old, and from, again, the studio I keep mentioning, Ghibli. Because Ghibli knows how to do films, animated films, where the heroine is the star of the show, and in this one it just seemed to be a bit simple, a bit safe. But it's okay. It's got really decent animation in it, but it's an okay film.
And number 4 is the remake of Total Recall.
Yeah, again, it's a very safe kind of film. It's nothing very special in what you expect from Len Wiseman. It's decent to look at, and the more the film goes along, the more it becomes so predictable and more like a bog standard action film. By the time it's finished and you've walked out the cinema, you'll think to yourself, well, I'm not going to remember that about 6 months down the line, because it's just a simple, ordinary, basic movie.
And number 3 is Anna Karenina.
Yeah, it's based on a Leo Tolstoy novel. It's not the first time Anna Karenina has been brought on the screen. This time it's starring Keira Knightley. It's got Aaron Johnson in it as well. It looks opulent. Who directed it again? It was the guy who did Hannah. And Joe Wright, isn't it? Yeah, yes. Joe Wright's the director of it. And he, after doing Hannah, he's gone back to the opulent kind of things that he did with things like Pride and Prejudice. And it looks pretty, but I bet it's probably a snowfest. To put it honestly.
Number 2 is Lawless, which is the new film with Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf as 2 of 3 brothers who are moonshiner and bootleggers in the 1930s. And Guy Pearce is a sort of a lawman that comes in from Chicago demanding money from them in order to sort of keep turning a blind eye, and things then become very messy and starts sort of building up to a sort of warlike confrontation between them. It's a well directed. It looks nice. It's a brilliantly directed film, but it's just not particularly well written. There's female characters in it, among them played by Jessica Chastain, who is a brilliant actress, but in this she's given very little to do. And Mia Wasikowska, which I think I got right, who is in it as well, has even less than her to do. And the one thing I will say is this: Shia LaBeouf is not bad in it, which is really surprising to say that. But it's got too many faults to be as good as it really should have been. Which means the number one film, new entry this week, straight in there, is Dread in 3D.
Yeah, just to quickly go back on Jessica Chastain, I threw up a trailer on the site on mondaymovieshow.co.uk for a film called Mama. And now the film itself is completely different to what Jessica Chastain has done before. It's a Guillermo del Toro presents movie, and it's out in January, and it's a horror film. So it'll be interesting to see what you can do with horror. And I think it looks really spooky. On to Dread, it is miles better than the Sylvester Stallone film. Carl Urban, he embodies Dread perfectly. He's just fantastic as Dread. And I asked Jay Faulkner from Following the Nerd on Twitter last night, because I was on Following the Nerd on Thursday's show, and I forgot to ask them, is there been a proper backstory to Dread? Because I don't know the character properly apart from the films. I've never read the comic books, and so I wanted to know if he's got a proper backstory, how he became a judge. And G.S. says it's down to the fact that it's something to do, like he was adopted at the age of 5, and he was brought in and taught for like 13 years to be a judge, and he built up lots of anger there, and so Carl Urban just embodies Dread brilliantly. The film itself is extremely violent. It's really, really violent, but that's the kind of film that we wanted. Judge Dredd fans wanted that kind of film, and I really liked it.
I just want to comment on it as well, because I did see Dread again at the weekend for a second time, and it was just as much fun the second time around. I noticed the 3D a lot more and found it was quite enjoyable a lot more the second time around. But I did notice towards the end that there is a slight pacing issue with the film, where once it starts building the last half hour, there are parts in it where it does sort of start to almost drag. But that's not to take away from it, because it is a brilliant film. It's a great film. It's brilliant to see what they've done with only $33 million to make it. And as much as there's also the whole thing of it being similar in story-wise to elements from The Raid, which was released earlier this year, which I think is on DVD in a week or two.
Next week.
Yep. And it's similar story-wise to that in certain aspects, but that's not down to anything like copying or anything like that. They are both just have come out with the same idea, although Dread did actually have it first. But even if you've seen The Raid, don't let that deter you from seeing this. If you have seen The Raid and you like a good kind of violent action film, not to make you sound like you have problems, but you will enjoy this.
Right, let's get on to some movie news. Universal Studios have confirmed that sequels for both The Bourne Legacy and Ted are on the way. The Bourne Legacy has so far taken $182 million so far, and the sequel will follow Renner's character Cross even more. Ted, however, has been a huge success for Universal, taking more than $400 million worldwide, and the studio wants to fast-track the sequel.
Wasn't there some other film as well that was announced? I can't remember what it was, but it was. I remember someone said it. There were 3 films, and I'm like, okay, yeah, those 2, mate. But another one of that, no, I can't remember what it was. There was another. I can't remember now. That's going to bug me. But with regards to Ted, yes, I would love to see it. But the only thing I can see it doing is having the main characters, Mark Wahlberg's and Mila Kunis's character, having a kid. Is the only thing I can see. So there's also with What was the other one? I've completely gone blank. Yes, Born Legacy. I've gone completely blank. Born Legacy. I want to see more films of that, but I would like to see it because now that it has been set up for Matt Damon's character to have a reason to come back. I would like to see him come back and it'd be him and Jeremy Renner in the same film.
Yeah, next piece. I'm steamrolling through these because we spent a little bit too long on the box office top 10, and we have 3 films to review. So, Warner Brothers have announced that Pacific Rim will be retrofitted in 3D, despite Guillermo del Toro not wanting this to happen. At this year's Comic-Con, del Toro said, "I didn't want to make the movie 3D because when you have things that big, the thing that happens naturally is you're looking at 2 buildings at 300 feet. If you move, the buildings don't get any closer together. There's no parallax." And he went on to talk about the fact that he still doesn't believe that the film itself should be shot in 3D.
That's not good, because when you're making a film in 3D, even if you're not filming it in 3D, you've still got to plan shots so they can actually be converted and work in 3D. If they've not done that, the 3D conversion is going to look terrible.
Yeah, the thing is, though, he didn't want it in 3D. It was the studio who's forced him to retrofit it in 3D. So it's Warner Brothers who've turned around and says that you've got to retrofit this in 3D. Yeah,
they've done a lot of their films made in 2D, not with 3D cameras or anything, but then converted to 3D. And they've done it with the planning when they've been filming it, so shots have been set up and it works in that way. But if it's not set up, it's not going to work. I'm telling them that now. Saying that, it's not going to work.
Exactly. I really want to see this film because it's Del Toro, but I'll definitely be seeing it in 2D. Another Warner Brothers story. Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures have slapped a release date on Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, with May the 16th, 2014 being the date in question. However, this puts the film in direct competition with Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles remake.
Really? Do I care about that? Either of those? No. One's Michael Bay, so no.
I'm actually looking forward to Godzilla from Gareth Edwards, considering what he did with the film Monsters. I thought Monsters was a fantastic film, and
it was, but I mean, it's a big budget thing, and he did small budget.
We'll see. He's got big ideas, and Bouncy on the live chat said Godzilla was going to be great, and I agree with you on that. My final piece of news story. MGM have announced that they've secured the rights to make a movie out of Dmitry Glukhovsky's Metro 2033 series. The series has already spawned 2 video games by 4A Studios. The screenplay will be written by F. Scott Fraser, with Chronicles of Narnia producer Mark Johnson set to direct.
Chronicles of Narnia was not one of my favourite films. So the guy that produced that making a film based on a game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold my breath on that being good.
Mr. Moobs on the live chat says Michael Bay is a great director.
How do we kick someone from the chat?
I can, but I'm not going to because we need the listeners.
Okay, a couple of news stories that I've got. The sequel to Spartan movie 300 has been given a new title. It was previously named 300 The Battle of Artemisia, but it's now been changed by Warner Brothers to 300 Rise of an Empire, and the sequel is currently expected to be released in August next year, on August the 2nd.
Yeah, I prefer that Rise of an Empire rather than Battle for Artemis or whatever it was called. That's a bit of a mouthful.
I don't know, Battle of Artemisia. I mean, Artemisia, I don't know what it is. I guess it's a place or something, but...
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, although Rise of an Empire, it sounds like Star Wars, which didn't have the best of titles. I mean, Attack of the Clones. The artist who will be joining the likes of Tom Jones, Shirley Bassey, Lulu and Paul McCartney as a singer of a Bond theme has now been confirmed for the upcoming Bond movie Skyfall. Singer Adele will now sing the theme song, also titled Skyfall. It's due to open in the UK on October 26th.
Brilliant. 2 things who I don't like that much. I don't like Bond films, and I'm not much of a fan of Adele neither, because I think she gets right on my nerves. I'm sick of hearing her songs being played, so that's 2 things now which is not going to make me see Skyfall.
I don't have a problem with her. I quite like some of her stuff, but the thing is, I mean, there's no way, even if it's the worst thing ever, there are 2 Bond songs which are going to be never going to be beaten for being so bad. One is the last one for Quantum of Solace by Jack White and Alicia Keys, and the one from Madonna on Die Another Day, because that was just criminal, awful, really horrible.
Yeah, definitely, it's an awful song. Right, I'm really fast tracking things here. We're going to go to a break, and after that we'll have our first review.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than listening to a podcast you like. But if someone podcasts in a place or in a way that you find unfunny, that's no good. So what do? First, you say, lol no. Second, you tell them to GTFO. Third, you get some Holocaust in your luggoles. And most importantly, you have to tell someone. Like your parents, your teacher, or a police officer. We are the Holocaust. 9 o'clock, Wednesday nights, holocaust.co.uk. We don't clash with The Apprentice anymore.
Right, welcome back. Andy has 2 films to review tonight, so which one are you going to do first?
Let's do The Sweeney first, which is directed by Nick Lowe. It is a remake of the TV series from the 70s. It might be 60s,
yes,
but I think it's 70s. Which has got in the leads, you have Ray Winston, who plays Regan, and you've got Plan B, or as his name, Ben Drew, playing Carter. The two of them as the two sort of lead partners of the flying squad, which is known as the Sweeney, in a film which is essentially an action film where they're focusing on a lot of their sort of it starts off with sort of action scene of them going into a raid, which is extremely over the top, baseball bats and things alike kind of things thrown into it, gunshots and stuff. The two of them come out of it, everything goes fine, everything goes ahead, the police will capture everyone. Everything seems to be going all fine until there's another robbery which goes on at a diamond shop, where a woman who's in the shop is suddenly, as the crew is leaving, everything seems to have been going fine for the robbery. One of them stops at the door, turns around, walks over to a woman who's in amongst the hostages, on her knees on the floor, and shoots her in the head. Unexplained, no idea why. When the Sweeney come to investigate this, Reagan sort of starts looking into it and finds out that there is someone else who had the same kind of MO for the way that they did the robbery. Is someone that he knew from his past, who he actually arrested years ago and put in prison before. Someone who he has a very sore point and really wants to get back at, if that's the person who has then killed this innocent woman. All the way through it, there is this issue of the Sweeney are using tactics which are very violent. They're blowing up a lot of things, just, causing chaos and things like that. And he's having to deal with one of his superiors, who is played by, I don't have his name here, Damian Lewis, I think it is.
Yes.
Who plays his superior, who sort of is coming to tell him about the fact that the internal affairs are investigating them. Here's the clip.
You look excited? Yeah, Francis Allen, Gov. Looks like he's come out of retirement. I need a word. I'm jogging on. Regan, I said I need a word. Now. Yes, Gov. What's up?
You're playing with a straight bat, aren't you, Jack?
What?
Reassure me that Lewis and his boys have got nothing on you. Nothing that can come back and haunt us.
Nothing, no.
His team are taking it more seriously than I anticipated.
No.
Good. All right, now your boy for the robbery. I'm sure this will be forgotten about.
Can I splice now?
Yeah.
Lovely.
So here's the thing with the Sweeney. It is a British film. It is it's a British action film, which is unusual. It's the kind of thing that you would expect there to be, because you've got Plan B in there, who I've not seen anything except for I think, and I don't remember him in it, but I looked up and he's in what was the one with Michael Caine a couple of years ago?
Or I know which one you mean. He plays an old guy who lives in this block and he gets assaulted, etc.
Harry Brown.
Harry Brown. Yeah.
Plan B, or Ben Drew, is in that film as well, but I can't remember him for the life of me. The thing is with the Sweeney is that it's surprisingly decent. It's well above average than what you'd expect for a British film. And considering what it's made on, which is only a budget of £5 million, roughly that amount, which is not a lot, really not a lot for what you get in there in the film. And there's some really nice action sequences. There's a great performance as ever from Ray Winstone, who is the main character in it. Ben Drew, surprisingly, is up to that kind of level. He is a good actor. I will say this: I have no problem with him as an actor, because after this, I will gladly see anything. I'm looking forward to seeing which one it was that he directed as well.
Ill Manners, but just to interject there, he has turned around and says that he's going to take a break from acting and music.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are people who say that. They don't, and it depends whatever comes up for him. So, but I will gladly check out something if he's in it, because he is a good actor. Given whatever it is that works for him, really does work in the film. There's issues with it. I mean, obviously, being that it's a $5 million budget, surprisingly that there's scenes in it which are unnecessary. You've got a sort of an underrunning story of Ray Winstone's character having an affair with the wife of the guy who's investigating him from internal affairs, which is as convoluted as you can get for a subplot. You have the whole thing of the villain is not really a great standout villain. He's a very generic and could have done a lot more with the role, with the character. But overall, surprisingly enjoyable. And I will not be surprised if next week in the top 10 this gets to the top of the oh god, tongue ties me. The top of the chart. Finally got there.
Can't believe you couldn't think of the word chart.
No, I was going to say record. I don't know
Okay.
why. But I think this should hopefully do well. I mean, the cinema that I went to this weekend still has it in one of its biggest screens. And there's other films that have come out now this week which haven't been in the big screen. So it's still doing well enough to pull people in. And I hope it will do, because for a $5 million film, and they said if it does well enough, they are looking forward to trying to making more, which I would gladly see if they are like this. It's not brilliant, but it's good.
Okay. Next film, Premium Rush, directed by David Coep. Or Coep? Coep. I'm keeping
I think
it
it's
Coep.
Coep. I think it's Coep, yeah.
Directed by David Coep. It stars man of the moment in my eyes, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who seems to be absolutely everywhere, a bit like Michael Fassbender. He plays Wiley, who's a courier. He's a bike messenger courier guy who goes around and picks up letters or takes packages to businesses that needs them really quickly. He gets paid a very small amount of money for it. And at the start of the film, you see him actually get run over by a taxi. And so the film itself, after you see him getting run over by a taxi, rewinds back 90 minutes, where he just says how much he really enjoys his job and how much he likes the fact that he's on a bike rather than being in a suit and being a lawyer. And he's then given the task to take an envelope to 116th Street by 7 o'clock, and he has to go to this university place to pick it up from somebody called Nima, played by Jamie Chung. However, when he gets to this university and he's given the letter, he is then stopped by this sort of like security guard, supposedly, who works at this university, played by Michael Shannon. However, he turns out to be a police officer and chases down Wiley because he really wants this envelope. This envelope contains something that is highly sought after. You find out a little bit later on what exactly is in the envelope in a flashback from Bobby Monday, which is played by Michael Shannon. You discover why he really wants that. And after this chase sequence has happened between them both, Wiley decides to go to the police station to obviously file a complaint against him. But it's only then he does discover that Monday is in fact a police officer, and he's sort of like a corrupt police officer who will do anything to get money. And here's a clip.
You believe in luck? Yeah, but you know, it was the Taoists that believed in luck. The Buddha rejected all that. We insisted on cause and effect.
What kind of bike messenger are you? You still haven't answered my original question. Aren't you afraid of dying? I mean, the way you ride...
Now, you want to know what scares me is what happened to my friends who just got out of law school. That is collective insanity. Compared to that, going down Broadway at 50 with no brakes is fine.
Sounds good.
bike wants to go fast. It's steadier that way. I've never been hurt going all out. It's just the hesitation that'll kill you.
So you're one of those guys. No brakes.
No, I hate brakes. Brakes of death.
And so the rest of the film itself is Mundy trying to pursue Wiley down for this envelope because, like I said, it contains something that's really sought after, and it's very close to Nemo. I'm not going to give that away because it is one of the main plot points of the film itself. Now, the film itself, it reminds me a little bit like Paperboy, the movie. If you take away the fact that it's not some guy who delivers papers and it's somebody who delivers envelopes and things like that, he's more like a postman. It's sort of got a feel of like Paperboy the movie. It plays out more like a video game rather than a film because you have these scenes where Wiley has this real big knack of being able to plot the exact route around traffic, and it happens more than 3-4 times in the film. He's able to see the exact route, looking into his mind at which routes would cause him death or cause him really bad injuries and which route would be perfect for him. The problem with the movie, it just feels a bit... There feels a bit something that is missing from it. Everybody in the film is okay. Michael Shannon is doing what Michael Shannon does. He sort of got this creepy kind of feel to him no matter what Shannon actually does. And Levitt is fine. He has a creepy look to him no matter if he's playing a good character or a bad character. So I think he's perfect for that kind of thing. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think it's a very simple, safe role for him. And considering this film has been put on the shelf and it's been languishing there for about 2 years, it's been trying to get out into the cinemas, and you can probably see when you watch this movie because it's nothing too special, and the end is so tacked on. It's not very well handled at all. It involves a flash mob in some way, shape or form, and you would expect the scene to last around about 10-15 minutes considering the trouble that they go around to try and get this flash mob together, and then it happens in about 3-4 minutes. It just felt like it was tacked on because I'm guessing the director forgot that it needed an ending to his film. So it's an average film. It's not getting shown in as many cinemas as I probably would have expected it to be, with it having Levitt attached to the movie. Considering what he's done in The Dark Knight Rises, you would have probably expect his movies to get front row screens and stuff, but it's an okay film. It's nothing too special.
Yeah, I would agree on that. It's unfortunately kind of disappointingly average. I did want more from it. I'll have to say that as well. Yeah.
So did I. I was expecting more.
Paranorman, which is the third of our cinema releases this week, which is the animation. I'm not sure if it's from the same people, but it's done in the same. It's stop motion, the same kind of style as a film which was on Film 4 the other day, from 2009, I believe, Coraline. It's a story about a boy named Norman, who's called Paranorman by all the kids in his school because of the fact of that he seems to walk around and have the sort of the sixth sense thing of where he's walking around and he can see and talk to ghosts. Though nobody believes him, he's going about everything normally when his crazy uncle, who he's been told to stay away from, comes to him and says to him that there is the curse of the town where there's this witch who cursed the whole town, and every year has to have something happen to stop her from raising the dead and leading chaos on the town. All he has to do to save the town, because his uncle has unfortunately died, he comes to him as a ghost, tells him, get this book from my body where he's died, take it to the witch's grave and read this book, and you must do it before sunrise. Here's a clip.
I've been holding back the witch's curse for years, but now I'm dead. It has to be you.
But I don't know what any of it means.
It means the past is coming back to haunt you. Time is running out. The anniversary of the witch's death is tonight. A ghost is going to wake up, and when she does, she'll raise the dead. You gotta keep her in her grave.
But I'm just a kid. How am I supposed to stop it?
Read from the book at the spot the witch was buried.
I made an error of that. I should have actually said before sundown, not sunrise. But Bouncy Ball has just actually confirmed on this that it's directed by the guy who did Flushed Away, which is it's directed by two guys, Chris Butler and Sam Fell. Now you've got the kid playing voicing the character of Norman, Cody Smith McPhee, will be familiar to people who've seen Let Me In, the remake of Let the Right One In. You've got there in that clip that you heard Alvin, who is voiced by the recognisable Christopher Mintz-Plasse. And you've got in there a great cast as well, including Anna Kendrick, Casey Affleck, you've got Leslie Mann in there, and you have John Goodman in there as well, playing his uncle. The thing with Paranorman is that it is essentially a kids' horror film, which is an odd thing to try and describe it, but it's the best way, it's the most accurate way I can think of to describe it. It's rated PG. There are, when I saw it, there was some kids in the cinema, and there was parts where they obviously were sort of frightened. I don't know how old they were, but they were young, and they were sort of reacting a bit to it. So there are scenes in it which are a little distressing for very younger audiences. The tone of the movie and the subject, because it deals with death and ghosts and zombies at one point, that it's sort of that kind of, you need to be aware of that if you are going to take kids to see it. But the thing about it is that there's a lot of things in here, a lot of jokes in there that adults will get. There's brilliant loads of references to the whole thing of zombies being really slow, and especially there's a right at the very start when Norman is watching an old zombie flick on the television, and there's a bit when the woman is there, she's screaming as this zombie's walking towards her, and she has to actually stop, take a breath, and then carry on screaming because she's standing there and the zombie is not anywhere close to getting her. Just that kind of humour, little bits of nods and things like that. A lot of little jokes in it, which I think adults a lot of time will get more than the kids, but there's still a lot of jokes in there for the kids as well. Surprisingly, I think this will end up being my film of the week because it was just fun, crazy, a lot more better than I expected. And the animation is superb, especially towards the end with the ghosts. The animation on the ghosts gets really good towards the end, and the humour. It's one of the things I will say. The 3D on it, at one point, the 3D for the ghosts, because the ghosts are transparent and they're sort of floating around and everything. My eyes struggled with that. I don't know if it's because of the way it was projected in my cinema, which wouldn't be surprising given certain recent events that happened. But if it's not that and it's down to the film, then it's that one thing I think people will struggle with. But the 3D on it, otherwise than that, was good throughout. So I would recommend seeing this. If you can, see it in 3D and check it out. I think you'll love it.
So it's a really... I really wanted to see this film as well. I did.
I was as well. I mean, I'd had people in the States that I know who'd seen it, because it's been out there a couple of weeks now, and they were saying that it is a really great animation film. It's funny, it's brilliant, and they're all right. It really is. I mean, the thing is, when I saw it, the first sort of 20 minutes or so, it's very slow going, and I was thinking, what are they all saying? It's not that great. But then after that 20 minutes, it really sort of kicked off, and things got really good. And there were loads of great little in-jokes. I wouldn't say I laughed a lot on it. I didn't laugh out loud, but I did giggle quite a lot through it, and I had a few sort of belly laughs, but nothing, no real big sort of uncontrollable laughs in it, but lots of little brilliant little touches here and there that just made it so much more brilliant than it could have been.
Yeah, because the 3 animated films I wanted to see this year was from Up on Poppy Hill, the Studio Ghibli film, surprise, Paranorman, and Frankenweenie, the Tim Burton one, which looks a bit like The Nightmare Before Christmas, because that one I think looks really, really interesting.
Yeah, we got before this. There were trailers for Frankenweenie, and there was trailers for something else as well. There's a Hotel Transylvania, which looks interesting.
It seems that they're going. It seems that they're hitting the horror kind of thing with kids animated films this year with those 3.
Yeah. Well, the thing that really struck me as really odd, though, is right before the film started, the very final advert we got was an advert for Toyota Prius. And it was like a spick and spell kind of thing you'd get on Sesame Street. And I'm like, what are they doing? Are they selling Priuses to 7-year-olds?
Interesting, that wouldn't have seen a 7-year-old driving a Prius.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's of all the things they could have done for the advertising, they do that. I mean, that literally at the end, I sat there and like, if there weren't kids in the cinema, I would have said the WTF words.
Was there an advert for any alcohol?
No, I think that's not allowed now, isn't it?
Because that would have been, I wouldn't have been surprised if they went alcohol and cars. So why not? Right, that's it for the cinema part of the show. We'll be back in a moment with the Blu-ray and DVD part of the show. If you listen to us on iTunes, then please leave us a comment on any of the sites, on Spreaker, on YouTube, specifically YouTube. We want comments on YouTube as well. And so stick with us if you listen to us on Spreaker. We'll be back in a moment with the Blu-ray and DVD part of the show.